what does all of this mean? I'm now joined in studio by Advocate Ty Scott to help us unpack particularly today's decision. Thanks very much for joining us. Welcome to the programme.
It's a pleasure to be here, Peter.
All right, let's start with today's decision, in fact, let's start with the denial for the Guptas to cross-examine. Your thoughts about the soundness of the decision taken?
Yeah, so I think the Deputy Chief Justice was quite clear in his reasoning. The first kind of contradiction he pointed out was that the Gupta brothers were apprehensive about the Hawks and the National Prosecuting Authority, whereas they had a large amount of faith in the judicial system. And in his view, drawing a distinction between the two would be arbitrary. And any sort of apprehension or fear they'd have of coming to South Africa could easily be solved by bringing them before a court that would kind of correct any abuse. And in those circumstances, deciding not to come before the Commission, the Deputy Chief Justice was just of the view that they had no legitimate basis to exclude themselves from testifying in person.
So one of the challenges that people are going to say is that, look, how can you have an inquiry and the star witness doesn't appear, doesn't say anything? Can the inquiry actually come with an outcome?
Yeah, I think the Deputy Chief Justice was also at pains to deal with that in his decision. He specifically mentioned how the decision was that of the Gupta brothers as opposed to that of the Commission. The Commission really had hoped that they would testify, and in fact the whole country would have wanted that. But based on the situation that the Gupta brothers have placed themselves in by choosing not to participate, the regrettable thing is that the Commission will have to press on without them.
All right, so Zuma Jr. has agreed to appear. He's been given the opportunity to cross-examine.
Yes.
And I just wonder about this admissibility of evidence. How does that work? Because what he says in the inquiry can't be used in his criminal case.
Yes, Peter, so when one testifies in extra criminal proceedings, such as through a commission of inquiry, you may have to give certain testimony that could conceivably incriminate you in the criminal context. Now, because a commission is inherently a truth-seeking body and wants testimony, it needs to try and protect that individual's right to not self-incriminate, yet still do its job of actually accessing the truth and the information it needs.
Right, so let me get this right. I kill my wife.
Yeah.
I go to an inquiry and say I killed my wife.
Yes.
But in a criminal court I say I'm not guilty, Your Honour. How does that work?
Well, your neighbours might not be happy with you and might view you very differently, but the prosecution certainly can't lead your testimony in the inquiry as evidence in support of your criminal trial. And again, the rationale for that is that the Commission of Inquiry values your testimony enough to provide you with that protection. All
right. Ty Scott, thanks very much indeed. We could talk about this for a long time, but we ran out of time. Thanks for your insights, and I'm sure we'll get you into studio again in the near future. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Peter. Look forward to it.